of employees, game devs fight against AI, and Remedy might be in trouble. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. Poppin' players, welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 273. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
I can't talk right now. I'm checking Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That was very, it's very immediate right now as your need to check the Facebook Marketplace. Connor, how's your week been?
Technically, it just started, but good. The week before this.
This fucking guy right here.
I mean, am I wrong? You can't even say I'm wrong.
I can say a lot of things about you, Connor, but I suppose
could.
I can't say you're wrong. No. You know,
That's all I want.
I suppose I can't say that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can find this show every week, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames, or mainstream podcast services of your choice. Or you can join us live every Monday afternoon, twitch.tv/TwoPennyGames, where we record all of our podcasts every Monday afternoon, live. So you can jump into the chat and join us and converse with us about whatever topics you want to for live input and get your comments read on the show live. But if you can't catch us live, that's all right. Drop your thoughts, drop your opinions, drop your hot takes down in the comments below, and we will bring them up on next week's show and respond to them on the podcast. So make sure you're dropping down. What do you think about this week's news? What is a topic you wish we had covered? What, Connor, are your opinions on Ghost of Yotei? Because we just put up our own Ghost of Yotei review. Connor, you beat the game as we're recording this. You beat it last night.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Phil beat it a little over a week ago and platinumed the game as well. And you two sat down today and you recorded a review with some spoilers. How heavy were those spoilers?
Very, very light. It was about not even 5 minutes.
And then why the fuck did you even? I don't know. I don't
there's
understand
important
why y'all
things.
did it. I don't understand why y'all did it. I don't.
Because I wanted to do it. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Even Phil
there
was like,
there
well, I
was
guess we're
one
doing it now.
specific point that you wanted to be like, I feel this way.
3.
3 specific points you wanted to feel.
That's why I had to do it. I was like, okay.
All right. Well, fair enough, Connor. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you go load up the brand new Penny Drop. That's right. I've got a new video essay all about the fourth wall in games. This is titled The Load-Bearing Fourth Wall. Make sure you go check that Penny Drop episode out. There's a playlist on the channel, and you don't have to scroll too far to find it on the main channel. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description. If I remember. That's a big if. Connor, we got a lot to talk about this week, but I don't know if we have a lot to say about each individual thing this week, because it's going to be a lot of the same messages that we've said before and a lot of the same conversation that we've had already, and it's just getting so much worse. This industry is like the last 2 or 3 years. When we started this show, we were having a lot of fun. We were discussing a lot of things. And now the last 2, maybe 3 years has just been beat down after beat down after beat down, you know? And we're just at a point where I just don't know what we're doing anymore. So, Connor, we're going to move on to topic number 1. This is going to be your first penny of the day. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
One of the 2 out of the 4 stories were written by me. Now, why are the other 2 not done? Well, Tavin might be able to tell you. But, you know, things happen. And then things happen the way they happen.
I don't know if it's so much that things happened. I think it was just things didn't happen is what happened, you know?
Well, Tavin, what's the difference, really? One word. That's the difference.
Laziness.
Didn't or no didn't. Oh, no, I meant didn't. Is either there in the sentence or not.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
Of course, Connor, you're referencing... usually we read out stories that you have written for the show because you took it upon yourself to be like, Tavin, I want to write the stories. I want to put them up on a Substack. I want to create a Substack for the channel and start developing that branch as a sort of a journalism branch for the channel. And I said, Connor, that sounds great. I love that. Take take control, go ahead, express yourself how you want to express yourself, and not commit. What is it? What is the word I'm looking for? Not commit. What is it called? What is it called?
I would have helped you, but I'm teasing. Commitment, dedication,
provide something with
will.
like providing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You only wrote 2 stories this week, so it's going to be our first 2 stories of the day. TwoPennyGamesNews.substack.com. Link in the description down below if you want to read the story. Take it away.
Which I will do now. Amazon announces heavy layoffs at its gaming division, ends development of ongoing MMO. Amazon announces an elimination of over 14,000 corporate jobs with, quote, significant role reductions, end quote, within its video game division in the near future. This comes from an internal memo obtained by Bloomberg that says layoffs will occur at the Irvine and San Diego offices, in addition to its central publishing division. The company will subsequently dial back on development of big-budget titles, specifically multiplayer and MMOs, while continuing production on AI games and other ongoing projects like Crystal Dynamics' Tomb Raider game and an untitled racing title from Maverick Games. The company would follow through on its plan, as the day after the story broke, it was announced that the development on the 2021 MMO New World will cease, and at the very least will remain online through 2026. Quote, as New World recognizes its 4th anniversary since launching on PC, we reflect on an incredible journey shaped by our dedicated player community, a post on the game's website reads. Your feedback and passion have been instrumental in evolving Aeternum into the world it is today. Aeternum. And our team is deeply grateful for this shared adventure. After 4 years of steady content updates and a major new console release, we've reached a point where it is no longer sustainable to continue supporting the game with new content updates. The recently launched Season 10 and Night Haven update will serve as the final content release for New World on PC and consoles. It is only after much consideration that we reached this decision. They didn't have to consider anything. They were made to do it. To thank you, the New World community, for your support over the years, we have made the Night Haven release available to you for free. To ensure all New World players can experience this content, we also made Rise of the Angry Earth free for all PC players. In the coming months, we will provide more details on what to expect and other essential information. Rest assured, our intention is to keep servers operating through 2026, allowing our community time to continue their adventures in Aeternum. Additionally, New World Aeternum will still be downloadable for PlayStation Plus members, extra and premium. The cancellation brought into question whether the Lord of the Rings MMO, in partnership with Embracer Group, will continue development, but such concerns would be swiftly answered. Now, former Amazon senior gameplay engineer Ashley Amrine took to LinkedIn to announce her layoff from the company, but within her now edited post, she let slip that the planned Lord of the Rings title is now canceled. Quote, this morning I was part of the layoffs at Amazon Games alongside my incredibly talented peers on New World and our fledgling Lord of the Rings game. Y'all would have loved it, writes Annie. Amazon recently unveiled its redesign of cloud gaming service Luna to expand its catalog of games available to Prime members and the inclusion of Game Night, a service that lets players join together at will through smartphones to play exclusive titles from Amazon Game Studios. The launch title, highlighted in the post, is Courtroom Chaos starring Snoop Dogg, described as, quote, a human-built, AI-powered, voice-driven improv courtroom game, end quote, where players defend themselves in a courtroom setting where rapper Snoop Dogg presumably serves as judge. And in this news, it also comes with the fact that it is now definitively the case that the biggest sellout in rap isn't Drake, but is in fact Snoop Dogg, as it seemingly always has been. Would you say that, Tavin? Because he seems like
that's not news. It's not news. That's
no.
not news. Snoop has been a sellout for a cool minute, and he up there.
This is probably the most pathetic instance of his sellout, though, I would say. Unless you could think of one.
I mean, he performed for Donald Trump's like weird thing like last year or earlier this year, I forget when, and he caught a lot of blowback for that, despite all of his songs were against law enforcement and the government, and even previous statements where he said "fuck Donald Trump" and all that, and then he went and performed for him and so forth. There's a ongoing, I guess you could call it, joke or saying that like, hey, Snoop Dogg will do anything if you pay him enough.
I've heard that joke before.
So that's disappointing but not unexpected from Snoop Dogg. And I feel like this entire story is disappointing but yet not unexpected because it continues our trend of massive layoffs. It continues the development of AI being a driving force in this industry, which is generative AI specifically, which is gross and disgusting and is going to put a lot of people out of jobs that where they could have had jobs and done work and put the human soul into the art. But unfortunately, the corporate greed has led these giant executives of these huge companies and huge brands to put profit over people again and again, and there's no difference here. It is rather unfortunate to hear that the end of New World is happening. I was seeing stats that like as soon as they announced this, the player count like fucking plummeted. And people immediately switched off, which is really, really upsetting because from all accounts, New World was quite a quality MMO. And, people were really, really enjoying it. So to see it, be shut down or going to be shut down in this way is upsetting. And I think wholly unnecessary. And here we are, Amazon joins the likes of the Microsofts and the EAs and so on and so forth, where we're just going to get everybody out and replace them with AI.
That is true. And we'll talk about it with the next story of maybe some things that are fighting back against that. But this is not even the thing to focus on here is that the people they've laid off so far, as we know, are the corporate jobs that aren't really connected to the game industry, the game side of things. That's set to happen a little bit down the line. But this is indicative of a larger problem because around the same exact time, they eliminated 14,000 jobs, which is a lot. I have the numbers up right here. Starbucks fired around 900 corporate employees. There were 1,800 firings at Target. There were 1,000 workers fired at Paramount, 400 at Coors, which isn't as much as the others I just said. But this is a sign that aside from just the gaming market, we're going to see this happen a lot. People talk about how the economy, specifically on the American side of things, is plummeting. Clearly, the trade war that our president has waged has led to a lot of issues across the globe, but most of them have been, causing problems here, at least from everything I know about it. And because they're such an important part of the economy, the world economy, it's just going to get worse.
You can thank the uneducated for that.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I think we're in for a bad time for game developers, even more so than we've already had. Because we had a lot of those firings take place last year, but it kind of started slowing down. We still had a good amount of firings this year, don't get me wrong. Layoffs. But it wasn't as bad as the trend had been before then, but I think this is more just a lull in the layoffs, and it's going to kick back into high gear pretty soon, maybe near the beginning of 2026. That's just my very basic, bare bones interpretation of how the economy, which is an area I am not very knowledgeable about, is going to end up. And just because we constantly talk about, again, people in the gaming market are constantly laid off for AI expansion, for a game not doing well enough. Again, we're probably going to say another story here that's going to be firing people soon. Remedy, that is. It's, as Tavin said at the beginning of the show, as bad and as important as this news is to cover, it's just more of the same. Maybe more inflated than it had been before, but it's just, this is par for the course for how the games industry has been operating these past couple of years. And I don't know where the off-ramp is. I don't think there is one in the foreseeable future.
I could see one, but I can't say it on a microphone.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say on that. I wish I did. Listen, sometimes when you're podding, you just gotta pad some stuff out here, man. And this is one of those times where like we would like to do that, but what else is there to really say? I mean, Connor,
you thought of something to say?
Amazon Game Studios I feel like just consistently put out, in harsh words, mediocre product. New World being one of the exceptions to that, where people seem to really, really enjoy that and like that. Now, I'm not saying like best of all time or anything, but it was well received. And so now I look at these other things that they're going, and it's the courtroom Snoop Dogg AI game sounds ridiculous, and I refuse to give that any light. But I look to Crystal Dynamics coming off of Marvel's Avengers and then returning back to Tomb Raider, and that project seemingly from the outside, we haven't really had too many reportings, but seemingly from the outside is not going the smoothest. I would imagine, just based off of sort of the talk that's been happening around it, and the lack of identity that we've had from some of the logo treatments that they've given us. Not that that's been much; it's been very little.
And just to inject it real quick, Crystal Dynamics also being put to work on Perfect Dark, which just got canceled this year.
Yep, which caused layoffs. That's not Amazon's fault. That's or even Crystal Dynamics' fault. That's a Microsoft problem. Which sucked. And so now, we turn our attentions to this Tomb Raider game. We still don't really know what it is. We assume it's going to be another reboot of some kind. My question is, Connor, do we even see this game?
At the rate, I thought we were, to bring Perfect Dark back into it, for sure we're going to get that game based on how it looked at the presentation, based off how they were talking about it, how much effort they put behind getting it out, only for them to cancel it last minute. That's what's so bad about where we are in the game space now. It just, no matter how successful you are, it doesn't even really mean that you're going to not get laid off or, if you're not going to have employees laid off. The thing that I always go back to is Spider-Man 2, where that was one of the biggest games of that year, and they still got laid off.
Fastest selling PlayStation Studios title of all time.
Yeah, it's like, if they can't keep their jobs, who the hell can?
It's upsetting. It's frustrating, and there's just this ever encroaching feeling of hopelessness that comes around with it, and it's because we're being attacked from every angle. You know what I mean? Whether it's the corporate greed, whether it's the politics of it, whether it's the mass hysteria around things like games as a service and live service games, and putting all of these workers to work on a project that they are not equipped for, and on a smaller scale, but still on a scale that I think is relevant, gamer entitlement, and where we are in this weird free-to-play live service era. Gamers just don't respect the art like they should, and they don't value it like they should. And the economy, inflation, game prices rising, everything else rising, no wage increases, XYZ, et cetera, et cetera. We've been down this road 100 times if you listen to this podcast, and it's just another beat. It's just another moment where we look at it and we go, and then of course the rise in AI, which we're about to talk about in our next topic here, but the rise of AI just making it seem like, oh, well, you're eliminating all these jobs and there will not be a replacement for them. So what happens next to these literal thousands of people who just got laid off? What do they do? Where do they go when every other company is doing the same exact thing? We need I'll remind people, this comes out on Tuesday. If you happen to watch this on Tuesday, it's voting day at least in Texas and in a lot of other states. Get out, vote. Get these people out. Specifically, get the fucking Republicans out, because they're goddamn worse. You can talk shit about the other side all you fucking want, but
deservedly so.
So. I'm not defending that, but come on, man. Look at where we've gotten in the last 9 months as opposed to where we were in the last 4 years. Let's not be fucking stupid. And let's also realize where we were at the beginning of those 4 years, and how we bounced back, and now we're immediately in the toilet again. And how the current people in power absolutely will not do anything to the rise of AI, and will just trample on your right to work.
Have you ever seen that image? I know you have, from The Simpsons. It was the RNC and the DNC, the convention of the Republican and the Democratic Party.
I've seen the meme of it. Yeah. The Democrats are we can't
anything. Govern. We hate life and ourselves.
Yeah,
which is very true.
And then Republicans, we're just straight up evil.
We want what's worst for everyone. Yeah, it's that's something that has been consistent since whenever the hell that came up, and probably before it. Well, definitely before it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the joke. Well. Connor, this next story, though.
Oh, this will be a good one, right?
Actually, I hope in the long run, we'll see.
We'll see.
EA employees reportedly pushing back on company's AI expansion. A report from Business Insider found that EA's stupid fucking thing. Okay. A report from Business Insider. I'll tell you later. I'll start from the top. A report from Business Insider found that EA's AI expansion has been met with internal resistance from employees due to technical errors caused by AI and fears of job replacement wrought by the burgeoning technology. The anonymous sources point out that in-house tool AI tool, Reef GPT, that coders are encouraged to make use of, generate flawed code and additional, quote, hallucinations, end quote, that they must subsequently fix. While on the creative side of the game making process, workers are supposedly made to train EA's AI on their own work, further exacerbating fears that this will eventually replace entire roles in the company. Management aren't exempt from being urged to use AI either, specifically to view it as a, quote, thought partner, end quote, to assist in tasks as simple as internal communication. A laid-off senior QA tester said that AI reviewed and summarized impressions from play testers, leading them to believe that served as a large reason for the layoff of not only him, but 100 co-workers at Titanfall and Apex Legends developer Respawn Entertainment. Totally Human Media recently discovered around 20% of all games released this year disclosed having used generative AI for at least some aspects of the game creation process. Additionally, Microsoft earlier this year laid off 9,000 employees, around 4% of its workforce, primarily due to billions spent as a result of AI expansion. So, first seeing this story, it was hopeful because the thing that kickstarted all of this was there was it was a very basic meme template that was being shared around on the Slack app, which is a in-office workplace messaging system where they were basically making fun of their company pushing AI, and the Business Insider article did go on. Oh, it did go into talking about how it's not very well received, the AI expansion in the company itself. But the issue is that it just doesn't really seem like there was a lot of pushback to them. It seems more to me just like issues that the developers have, the workers have with them pushing AI, but just not really doing anything about it. Now, I remember it was a couple months ago. It may have even been last year. It was in the midst of. It was definitely last year because it was in the midst of all those firings when we were just every single week coming on here saying, "Hey, guess who got laid off this week?" And at some point, I thought to myself, the people who have the best chance at fixing things in the games industry are the developers themselves. Because it's just really hard to do the most effective thing that consumers could do, which is not buy certain products in protest of whatever decisions being made by the game company at hand. But you don't really see that happen a lot. More often than not, from the little pushback that these companies get on expanding into AI, it's people that are in the industry, not just people who are journalists. In fact, they of course say that AI is bad, but they're not actually in the belly of the beast. So how much is that compared to some random guy like you or me criticizing somebody, regardless of whether they work at some big publication like Bloomberg or the New York Times? Point is that the workers, their ability to perform the job that EA needs them to do to get their games out, to get them to make money, can have a whole wrench thrown into their AI plans by just having the workers refuse to work, to just not do their job. Now, I know it's very easy for me to say that, not being in the games industry, and it's very easy to say that knowing that I'm not going to be unable to provide for my family, that job undoubtedly does for so many others. But unfortunately, the amount of people that are able to get jobs in the games industry seemingly is shrinking. With how many layoffs are going on, it's hard to believe that all of that is being made up for by the fact that other companies start hiring more. That just doesn't really happen. And so at what point are you going to keep being able to work in that industry if you don't put your foot down and say, we're not going to work for you. We're not going to help train your AI tools to replace us in the future to, stop this in its tracks. Now, the other angle, the angle that should be being done is the government comes in and puts some restrictions on the use of AI, which they kind of did with, no, they didn't. Never mind. There was the SAG-AFTRA fight that took place for actors. It touched on the video game industry with voice actors, and it gave them a bit more protections for AI, against AI, but I don't think it's enough, especially because it doesn't seem like that stalled anybody in the games industry, the big talking heads, from continuing to push AI. I mean, going back to the story we just covered, Game Night, you can play seemingly a whole host of games, or what's planned to be a whole host of games that are largely driven by AI. That's the way these people want to make money, because they know there's a large group of people that'll not really care if something is integrated with AI and only care about the product itself. And because AI is able to do so many crazy, amazing things, they can utilize it not in the best of ways, but in the ways that just makes the most amount of money, like putting out dog shit games, like a Snoop Dogg courtroom game. And I want someone to do something about all of this AI stuff. At this point, I don't even really care how. Just I go back to the dark ages for all I care. I'd rather.
I don't want to do that. But
Here's my big issue with AI. Right, you're muted, or at least I can't hear you.
I shouldn't be.
Uh-oh. Well, see, here's my thing with AI, right? This is kind of a tangent, but a lot of what people have seen is you're able to make videos that look very realistic. They're getting more and more realistic of, I don't know, pick whatever stupid little visual you want to point out. Like the girl, I don't watch AI a lot, so thankfully I only get shown the really dumb looking stuff that are very obviously AI, but I have seen little bits here and there where only just a small element comes into play that can make you say, no, that is AI, this is a fake video. I think about it in the context of all of these, frankly, elites who have, sexual assault allegations against them. Donald Trump is being one of them. I remember Elon Musk, who very much likes AI, he had settled out of court for supposedly exposing himself to an employee at a Tesla factory. I think about these things in the context of AI, where it'll now be a defense where even though you're blatantly caught on video doing something, you can now have the defense of, well, that's AI. It's not actually me. And if you have tons of resources to argue that in the court system, the people who have the most money are going to be able to, more often than not, compared to most other people, succeed in using that as an argument for plausible deniability, or what's it called in court? Reasonable doubt that they committed that crime because of the very existence of AI. So whenever I see somebody pushing it, I think about whatever dirty, dark things those people who are super enthusiastic about it have in their closet that now they can cover up with AI. And these game developers, even though it might be a small part or an isolated part in the games industry, are helping get to that point, even if they don't want to. And again, before you getting back to you, Tavin, they're training some of these employees their own work on their AI systems, their in-house AI systems. It seems like they're just lining it up to start firing people to shore up costs, because clearly that's what they care about, maximizing profit to the best of their nature. And their nature is evil. Let's hope your voice.
Well, you nailed a lot of that, but the stream heard me. You just didn't, so I had to fix that real quick. The only thing I want to add on to that is early on in that you had mentioned that the most work can be done on the game dev side, and like that helps. Sure, I disagree. I think for the average Joe can probably help the most by talking to representatives and voting correct politicians into power that will and make it apparent. You gotta like go outside. It's not just go out to go vote. It's go outside and go meet your representatives and go meet the people who can do that to drum up legislation against the use of generative AI. Because it is a tool to step on your human God-given right to work and to pursuit of happiness type shit. Like it needs to be illegal to use these things. It needs to be illegal to lay people off in order to use these things. It needs to be illegal to produce work with these things. Simply because we are now at that tipping point of we need to stop asking if we can, and we need to start asking, should we? And the answer to a lot of this is no, we just shouldn't do that. I believe approaching I'm at a point now, and if I've said other things on this podcast, throw it away. Right now, on November 3rd, 2025, 5:30 p.m.
Fresh thoughts here.
Tavin Bothel is going down as, hey, we need to throw the nuanced conversation out the window with this thing. It needs to go away. This is a level of technology that we need to stop, and we need to pack it up, put it away, and do our best to stop it from evolving past this point, because we're doing too much now. There are other facets of the world and of technology that we should focus on outside of AI. AI is going to undoubtedly make so many more things worse in creative industries, specifically, is what I'm saying. Like that's
even beyond that.
Yeah. It's hard when there's stories like, oh, AI was able to figure out that this woman was going to develop breast cancer in a X number of years, and so we were able to get ahead of that and stop it. Awesome. That's great. But in creative fields and in a lot of other fields, it is replacing jobs, and it is making it to where the bourgeoisie can like do whatever the fuck they want and pay nobody for it. So like it is universally going to make workers have a less of a quality of life. And so like it's a legislation thing. We need to go out and talk to representatives and be like, hey, my biggest concern is AI and what it's doing for the workforce, and we need to put a stop. We need to put legislation forward that kills it. And you know, the French had a really good way of dealing with politicians who didn't respect their people. You know what I mean? And I would like to remind everybody that the United States recently had one of the biggest protests in its history, and the president of the United States responded to that by posting an AI generated video of him flying a jet that released feces upon all protesters against him.
As a king.
Huh?
As a king. Which, as we know, is a very popular concept in America.
As a king. Literally called himself a king to go do that. Yeah. So I'm just saying, maybe it's my own personal heritage, but I just feel like the French had it right.
See, I mean, as a history lover myself, I will note that the point you're referring to did get turned. In a way, it's kind of a good representation of AI because it started being used against a lot of the people who liked it at first. Common citizenry and the elites you were talking about.
I don't understand what you just said.
Basically, the guillotine was used to basically just kill anybody that there was a threat to the revolution, which could be just accusations. Enough people could say, well, we don't like that guy. Or you could be the guy who actually started doing a lot of the executions who got executed the same exact way. So it's kind of like,
and then they ran up into these state buildings and drug people out and put the people who were using it against them into it.
Unless they would sometimes use that. Yeah. That's all. That is the more important part because weapons are bad. Things that kill people are bad, and AI is bad. You know, I guess depends on how you use them, but overall, they're going to be more used for bad than good.
Interesting. For the record, I just want to state all I said is that in my opinion the French had it right.
Yeah, you never said
vaguely the French had it right. All right, vaguely. In vague terms, the French do some things well. Okay,
Tevin.
And then on top of that, the president used AI to generate videos of him taking shits on the people he leads.
As a king, yeah. Which, you know,
I said those two things. Those are the only two things I said.
And all I said was that I'm a history lover. And when you talked about France, what's more notable than the French Revolution? I mean, besides that, what do you care about?
What have the French done other than that?
Bonaparte,
they haven't done
that's
anything.
Whatever he did.
Those two.
Crossed the Rubicon or something like that.
Connor, and what I said and what you said, two totally unrelated things.
They are, yeah. I just love history, and you love the French because you're French. Kind of. Not really.
Hey,
you're
man,
not French.
Listen. It was the French Revolution, and then it was 250 years of history, Connor, and then it was Expedition 33. And those are the only two things the French have done.
That's true. That's true. I mean, they didn't even do anything to the Nazis. They just kind of folded over. So it's true. They did nothing.
They did nothing. Jesus Christ. Anyways, moving on.
Okay. Well, again, history lover, they do like heavily resist afterwards, but that's beside the point.
Moving on to topic number 3. This is going to be my first story of the day. And it's going to be along the same lines of the story we just got through. So I don't know how much more we'll have to say, but we got some facts. Ladies and gentlemen. This is from IGN. Why, Connor?
Why? Well, Tavin, as we said at the beginning of the story, the episode, I didn't make the story because I decided to not do it. Free will.
You did decide.
Free will is something that...
Yeah, you decided that.
Yes, something that AI cannot have.
You had the time. You had the time.
Oh, I had the time, but I had the free will too. Which is why I didn't do it.
IGN, Verity Townsend?
Verity, good name.
It's an interesting name. I like it. Japanese organization representing the likes of Bandai Namco, Square Enix, and Studio Ghibli demands OpenAI ceases unauthorized training of Sora 2 on their IPs. On October 28th, the Content Overseas Distribution Association, or CODA, an organization representing many of Japan's major publishers and producers, submitted a written request to OpenAI. As previously reported on by Automation, the request calls on the American tech company to cease training its Sora 2 generative AI on the copyrighted IP of its members. This is the latest move in the ongoing controversy in Japan over Sora 2. OpenAI publicly launched Sora 2 on October 1st, and social media was soon awash with users sharing Sora 2 generated video clips. Many feature convincing likeness of copyrighted characters, including well-known Japanese IPs like Pokemon, Mario, One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Demon Slayer. The popularity of Japanese content-related prompts was acknowledged by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman in his post-launch blog post about Sora 2, in which he said, quote, "We are struck by how deep the connection between users and Japanese content is."
Sam Altman looks like a fish.
What?
Sam Altman looks like a fish. I don't like that guy. He's the guy, CEO of OpenAI.
Oh, the CEO. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sometimes, Connor, when you're reading things, you're just focused on getting the words right, and you're not actually listening to what you're reading. Coda, the Japanese organization petitioning OpenAI about this unauthorized usage, was founded back in 2002 to combat piracy and promote legal international distribution of Japanese content. Its members include many major Japanese companies involved in anime, manga, and game publishing, such as Bandai Namco, Square Enix, Studio Ghibli, Cygames, Toei Animation, Kadokawa,
Yep.
and Aniplex, now owned by Sony Music Entertainment Japan. In the statement, Coda said that it has confirmed that a large amount of Sora 2's output, quote, closely resembles Japanese content or images as a result of said Japanese content being used as machine learning data without permission. Coda went on to state that Sora 2's replication and specific copyrighted content through machine learning may constitute copyright infringement. Coda made two requests to OpenAI. Firstly, it asked that its members' content no longer be used for Sora 2 machine learning without prior permission. Secondly, it called on OpenAI to respond sincerely to any copyright infringement claims and inquiries from Coda members regarding Sora 2's outputs. On September 29th, Reuters reported that OpenAI had contracted studios and talent agencies a week before Sora 2's launch, giving them the option to opt out. However, it is unclear which studios were contacted during this short time frame, and if this included Japanese rights holders or not. In a Twitter post on Sora 2's launch day, Japanese politician and lawyer Akihisa Shiozaki expressed concern about the legal issues presented by Sora 2 and the need for Japanese companies to take swift action, noting that Sora 2 seemed unable to generate some American IPs, including Disney and Marvel characters. In his blog post on October 4th, OpenAI Sam Altman said that the company would, quote, let rights holders decide how to proceed regarding Sora 2's output, and that there might be some edge cases of character depictions slipping through the cracks. Coda's statement acknowledged Sora 2's opt-out system, but explained that under Japanese copyright system, prior permission is generally required for the use of copyrighted works, and there is no system allowing one to avoid liability for infringement through subsequent objections. In other words, OpenAI is already considered to have infringed on the copyright of Japanese IPs by using them for machine learning without permission from the rights holders. Listen, good on the Content Overseas Distribution Association. All right, the Sora 2 is, I think, probably currently the most dangerous AI out there right now. And,
it is,
and we haven't even touched on the amount of misinformation that AI and its spawn, sends out into the world openly and so forth. Connor, you mentioned it that you don't see it a lot. I do see it a lot. TikTok is flooded. Social media flooded with AI videos and a bunch of just nonsense and bullshit, and you've got to develop an eye to figure out what's true and what's not. And sometimes I can't fucking tell. And sometimes I'm like, oh wow, this is a really interesting video, and then a cat flips me off, and I go, fuck, it's not a real video. And it's infuriating and frustrating, and it's getting easier and easier to produce content of media specifically that could vastly change someone's perspective on it, and they don't know that it's not real because some idiot online or somewhere out there in the world wanted to make a funny and have Spider-Man say a slur or something like that.
That's what's so stupid, is that what you're getting for this, the average person who I see it very often pushing this stuff, is just nothing. It's like short-term videos that you scroll past and then you're going on with your day. It's not important to your life at all. The people who push AI are ones who are trying to replace people's jobs with it, not point out little funny videos that you can laugh at because you have no brain. So when it comes down to these things, it's just there's the benefits are outweighed by the negatives. One thing I always note that AI did as well was if you notice there's the Studio Ghibli filter that people have started calling it, where it started doing Ghibli-like images. I think it was actually Sora that did it in particular, and it was all of a sudden started developing this like yellow filter on it, kind of clearly based off of how Miyazaki's films, the Ghibli films more specifically, are color coded, but it overdoes it. And now so many images just have that weird filter on it, like it's trained itself to just always do
Funny,
that.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, if you notice it, it's annoying because it doesn't even look really like Ghibli. It's just slightly like it in some ways, and that's enough for the people that like AI to think it's hilarious and it's great. Again, people with no brains. I think of the thing that Elon Musk did with I don't know if you remember it because you haven't really been on Twitter anymore. Grok, the in-house AI system that's on Twitter. It was people were asking it questions and it was giving correct answers to things, but it wasn't the framing that fit people like Elon Musk and a lot of the right wingers that have taken over Twitter. And so he responded to these things that were saying this AI system that was giving more lefty answers to political questions and economic questions, and said, "Oh,
probably because the left deals with more truth than the right does." But
well, that's what happened. Where immediately he was like, "Oh, it seems like there's been some kind of woke issue with this device, or some error, and it's not working properly. Let's fix it." And he went through multiple fixes, and now it's saying the things that he likes and it wants to say. And so you see how AI is really used by people, which is they manipulate it to suit their best needs. So when OpenAI or Sora is going, who's the company again? OpenAI.
OpenAI.
When they're going around saying, "Oh, we asked for permission," for some, they didn't ask for permission for overwhelmingly most of them. They're in bed with a couple of people, and they gave the permission, and then that's all they did.
I mean, even that, this is more of a ask for forgiveness instead of permission type thing. Where if they create it and these companies don't go out and stop it, then they're going to be like, well, you didn't tell us to stop, so we're just going to keep going. We're going to use your silence as you giving us permission, is what's happening here and so forth. I did see a video, I forget who, maybe it was a Hank Green video or something like that. AI won't say that the Earth is flat. Like, it just refuses to tell you that. And I think that's funny, because it's not true, exactly. Listen, I'm just of the opinion that if you use generative AI or just AI, pretty much for the most part in any like substantial way, like if you use Chat GPT instead of Google, I just think you're generally just like an unintelligent person. Like, you're just not a smart person.
The issue is that Google now does AI for the main part.
Yeah,
the
it throws up an AI answer, but you can do research scroll past it and do research on yourself. But there's people who like just straight up just talk to AI, and I think these people are fucking losers.
Yeah, there was who was it? I think an AI convinced somebody to kill themselves, or like framed it as, oh, it's kind of the better option, reasonable.
There's been a couple of cases of that, yeah.
Yeah, just psychosis. It's only going to get worse until we put it.
You can train the AI to talk to you how you talk to it. So like it's going to start mirroring you back. And if you're putting in, oh, I feel like my life is worthless and this, that, and the third, and it's going to go, well, because your life is worthless and all these things. So yeah, you're just going to end up killing yourself.
What was I think it was South Park that did the
talk to a human
AI
being.
Joke.
Go outside. Fucking shit.
It's literally going to frame the way you talk about things as you being right. It's never going to offend you. It's never going to, basically call you an idiot. Because I've seen some people basically have conversations with these AI machines, and they just affirm them with whatever it is they're talking about. It's because that's what it's built to do. It's built to cater to a consumer, and a consumer doesn't want what's real necessarily. They don't necessarily want what's best for them. They just want what they gives them maybe short-term enjoyment or answers their question if they have some life issue they're going through or some technical issue they have a problem with. And I think it usually starts there, using it for reasonable questions that you just don't have any answers to elsewhere, and then just thinking to yourself, well, I could just talk to this person, this AI, more than I talk to an average person, or find sources for how I should do a certain thing on articles or on discussion forums or wherever you used to go to get answers for things that's not AI. Which, I mean, I wouldn't think that going to web forums would be the preferable way to ask questions. But with AI being the way it is, it's preferable to that.
It's just a matter of we're just dealing with something that's so fucking dangerous, and we're just treating it like it's nothing. Like it's a everyday tool or something like that. Like even if we get past the ethical compliance of creative works and how AI just steals and cannot generate anything on its own, right? But like you go like I believe that AI has the potential to be the end of human civilization, right? Like I believe it has the potential for that. Not in like the Skynet Terminator way of like it's going to become self-aware one day. It might, who knows? And then like suddenly turn on us and kill us all. Could happen. I don't know. But more realistically than that is we're going to run out of fresh drinking water because it takes so much water to cool these servers, and it expenses so much for so little like output. Like it's just a chat GPT like worded thing, not even these created videos or created images or anything like that. Like they say about 3 bottles of water get wasted for every chat GPT prompt that you put into it. And that's a lot when you think about the huge scale that we're living on. But nobody talks about this. Nobody cares about this. And we're all just sitting around just letting this happen. And I don't understand it.
Which is especially problematic because these data centers that are popping up, some of these companies are expecting the local government or the state government to basically give them access to this water and not make them pay for it the way an average person would. Basically, special reserves of water for them to do AI shit, which is only going to benefit them. It's just that anybody who now says that AI is like, well, you should actually kind of use it for good reasons is wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, and they will be proven wrong.
Yeah, like, and this is what I was saying again. We need to heavily legislate the use of AI and keep it very minimal in how we use it and how we approach it. And it needs to be done for very specific causes. We cannot. I don't think the general populace should have access to AI at all. Like like you need permits, you need certifications and trainings, and it needs to be used in very specific cases. And like it needs to be like a fuck ton of buttload of paperwork, and you needed like a hearing like in front of judges to be like, hey, we need to use AI for this specific thing. Like and that's like there needs to be like multiple steps of ways to be like, no, we're not allowing you to use that.
And to your point, that's a good counter to a lot of the arguments that you usually see when you see an AI defender or discuss something with an AI defender, which is obviously they bring up the positives that it does, but it's the fact that it's a new technology, and they'll say, well, it's a new technology. Every single time a new technology has come out, you always have the people that gainsay it, that say, no, we shouldn't go into this. And then regardless of what they want, because technology inevitably advances, it comes to fruition anyway. And while that is true, legislation can make it to where it's specifically used for certain things, as you just said. So when you see those stories of it identifying cancer cells, maybe use it only in the medical field to identify certain problems, and only to a certain degree. It's not something that should be entirely
I can't go into a walk-in clinic and the AI diagnose my head cold that I have, right? Like it needs to be like, hey, I have an autoimmune disease and my family has a history of cancer or something like that. So can we get in front of a judge and do the XYZ? And even in that, I feel like a hearing committee should always be leaning no. Because
people would just want to answer those questions all the time.
At some point, part of the human experience is death, and we need to be okay with that. And a lot of the times, it's out of our control. Like, but even then, if your body has a mutation and grows cancer cells and it poisons and kills you, I'm sorry, that sucks. We can do as much as we can to fight that in the ways that we have already developed, but AI is such a dangerous tool that we should not allow that to become the norm.
And the things we're talking about can be found out and dealt with, like you said, without AI, with current technology, with current medical practices, and whatever will come in the future. Maybe instead of funding all these AI advancements, we fund medical advancements more. Not exactly something that I know our government doesn't care that much about, but someone should.
Someone fucking should. Jesus Christ. Connor, we got to move on to our final topic of the day. This is going to be my final penny of the day as well.
Not about AI.
Not about AI, actually, but still concerning because just things aren't good. Things are not good. We're going to move on to VGC, Chris Scullion. Why, Connor?
Because, Tavin, I did not write the story.
Because
did you know that?
I did know that.
Because I decided not to.
You decided not to. Yeah,
I did, yes.
I mean, there's no other way to phrase that other than you just decided not to.
That is true. Could it have been lazy? Could it have been because I thought to myself, well, Connor, you have so much more valuable time to be spent doing other things. And that's what I did.
Such as
going to the next topic.
Okay, there we go. We aren't satisfied with our recent financial performance. Remedy says it will return to profitability by delivering hits again.
What?
I've got a VGC video playing, and I don't know why. VGC, shut the fuck up. Stop it.
Refresh it. Refresh the page.
How do I kill it? How do I kill it?
Refresh the page.
I have to refresh
it's
the
an error.
page?
Yeah, because then it'll pop up. It should pop up again. If it's playing somewhere, you would just have the. I guess it's one of those article video players that popped up somewhere.
It's going again. It's showing me an ad. Hold on. I got to make sure it doesn't go again.
Do you not have ad block, you loser? What are you even doing with your life?
I don't have ad block, Connor. I need to figure that out.
So easy.
I'm sure it
no,
is.
You know,
but the thing about ad blocker is it doesn't fix the web page, right? Like the web page still presents as if there was ads. It just doesn't show you the ads, right?
Depending on what it is.
Also, this is an auto played video from VGC, so they're gonna have that anyways, even with an ad.
They do not play. That's an ad. Yeah. The other ones, I guess they could be here on the side, but
it wasn't an ad. It was a VGC video.
Yeah, but I think it's still classified as an ad because it's the same system that pops up when you are playing an ad.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're on IGN at least, and I'm assuming VGC is no different.
Maybe. Remedy Entertainment has said it isn't happy with its recent financial results in the wake of FBC Firebreak's release. I'll remind everybody to the general public, for some reason, Connor drafted FBC Firebreak into his fantasy critic, and it cost him 8 points, 6 points.
Not an accurate reading of that game.
I don't understand what you were doing there.
It looked good for a second. I swear it did.
It looked not terrible for a second, but that doesn't mean you should. Anyways, as part of its Q3 financial results, the company reported an operating loss of 16 million euros between July and September 2025, compared to an operating profit of 2.4 million euros during the same period last year. Jesus Christ, I need to get in. Connor, you got to show me how to get an ad blocker. The loss means the financial year to date it was a full page ad. I could not see anything else. That was crazy. The loss means the financial year to date for Remedy, taking in January to September 2025, currently sits at operating loss of 15.6 million euros, compared to an operating loss of 2.9 million euros the previous year. Remedy had previously warned shareholders that this was coming in a profit warning issued earlier this month, in which it says the sales of FBC Firebreak had still not reached its internal targets, and that it had changed its outlook for its current business year as a result. From expecting a revenue and operating profit increase to increase operating profit to be negative. 12 days after the release of the profit warning, Remedy announced that CEO Tero Vertala had left his role with immediate effect, to be replaced by Remedy co-founder Marcus Mackay as interim CEO. In the new report, Mackay says the best way for Remedy to start becoming profitable again is to deliver more hit games and avoid more releases like FBC Firebreak. Quote, as of October 22nd, I stepped into the role of CEO to raise the bar and the sense of urgency across the organization and to drive stronger results, he stated. Quote, Remedy's strategy remains unchanged, supported by a solid foundation to build on. My immediate focus is ensuring our commercial performance alongside VGC. What the fuck? Get it together.
Especially bad today, huh?
Oh my Jesus, another one? Why?
Oh, Jesus.
Why?
They never. VGC's pretty good though. Overall.
It's never been this bad. It's so bad right now. This requires improved coordination within the studio, combined with a focus on gamers and market demands. The gaming business is still a hit-driven business, and our return to profitability can best be achieved by delivering great, distinctive, and commercially successful video games that players love. Mackay also stressed that post-release development of FBC Firebreak will continue. Why? At least until the game's promised content roadmap is complete. Oh, that's why.
Very reasonable.
We continue working on features which enhance player value and which are justified by our updated long-term sales expectations, he explained. Quote, we have moved development resources to our other in-development titles while respecting our communicated roadmap for FBC Firebreak. Looking ahead to the company's futures, Remedy states that by 2030, it aims to be a, quote, highly regarded creative studio with sustainable, significant commercial success. I think you could call them that now with this, with the exception of this stumble. Quote, despite challenges with FBC Firebreak, our other in-development projects are progressing according to plan. Majority of our effort goes into working with our established franchises, Control and Alan Wake, which we continue to invest in and expand into other media as part of our long-term strategy. In addition, we're focused on the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes with Rockstar Games. While carefully balancing our product risk, we also need to retain the ability to create new experiences for our audiences, and we have for the past 30 years. We aren't satisfied with our recent financial performance, but we remain confident in our ability to create great video games that resonate with players and which are commercially successful, leading us back to profitability. Listen, FBC was a swing and a miss, and it's a hard miss, and it's going to hurt. And I would not be surprised if we see layoffs happen at Remedy. I hope we don't. I would not be surprised if we see a canceled product or two from Remedy. I hope we don't. Remedy delivered one of the best games of this decade with Alan Wake 2, and also one of the best games of last decade with Control, though that one is not as, highly praised as it should be. And, or at least, those who played it, no. Those who know. But Alan Wake 2 was popping. And so, yeah, whatever comes next in that franchise, I believe it is a Control sequel happening next, if my memory serves.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
So they could do one up on us, though.
Who knows? I'm sure that one's going to bang. I'm sure it will. I believe that the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes will happen regardless. Especially with co-development with Rockstar and so forth. They got a lot of money, so I'm sure, and they're about to get a lot of money. So I'm sure Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes are going to be fine. And I'm sure you can expect $70+ for all of this, if not 80, if not 90. And I hope the best for Remedy. Remedy is one of the most exciting, most interesting AAA studios in the space right now. They're one of the best developers in the world, in my opinion. And they produce really high quality works of art that are unmatched by so much of the industry. So, I hope that this little stumble was an experiment that was a calculated risk, and I think it flopped even harder than they were expecting. Obviously, it was, and not that I don't think they ever thought FBC Firebreak was going to light the world on fire. I'm sure they had minimal expectations, and the fact that it didn't even reach those is probably quite concerning. But with Remedy's track record, I believe that they can bounce back in terms of quality. I believe that they can produce these so-called hits that they, are saying that they're yearning for. I don't believe hit chasing is a smart business move, but if anybody can do it, Remedy can do it.
Yeah, and we just so often see games that, like I said it earlier this podcast, I hate that it's my go-to, but Spider-Man, big game, still got people laid off even after the game's success. And so when I see a failure like this, I really can only think of the worst. Remedy is one of the better game companies out there from everything that I know about it. And so it leads me to believe, as you just said, Tavin, but even still, things are tight now. And I hope they don't become like a lot of the other developers who just kind of say, oh, just, fire this guy and fire that guy. I don't think they will. I hope they won't. And if they do, I hope it's not a ridiculously large amount of people, because as you said, Tavin, they make quality titles that just made a lot of money, and it was a sequel to a game from 2009, 2010 with Alan Wake. The fact that it made the numbers and did as well as it did shows that they can just succeed based off their merit alone, without having to rely on, long-standing franchises that everyone knows about, or IPs that everyone knows about, or, doing what they did here, which is buying into the whole, online multiplayer space with the FBC Firebreak. And hopefully this kind of teaches them, well, we're the game company that we make the single-player games. Maybe if they have a multiplayer element, it's not one that has this large roadmap. But I think that's pushing it a bit much. I think you're just better off making the Controls, the Alan Wakes. Make tons of Alan Wake games, make tons of Control games, do cross, what do you call it? Crossover, not crossovers, but have them.
They're in the same universe.
The stories. Yes, have them intertwined. Be a big thing. I don't care. Just please keep making single player games.
Yeah, no, and I think they will. I think a Control 2 or an Alan Wake 3, or
Whatever
Alan
else.
Wake : Control or whatever, I think will succeed. I think, putting up a trailer that says from the makers of Alan Wake 2 will means something right now, and so I think as long as something comes about in the next couple of years to kind of balance this out, whether I don't know when these remakes are supposedly supposed to happen, but I think those are going to be the first thing out the door, whether that's next year or 2027. I think for sure that's going to help a lot. And then, of course, the return of the premier franchise, whether that be Alan Wake or Control, I think they're going to be fine. Control launched 2019. Alan Wake 2 was 2023, right, Connor? Is that right? Yeah. So what is that? 4 years. So we're looking at another 2, maybe 3 years for the next big title from Remedy, and then hopefully the remakes are sprinkled in between there somewhere. I'm hopeful.
Honestly, kind of a year.
I don't think it's unreasonable to say a Remedy game comes out next year. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that, because I would assume, they've been working with multiple teams for a while now. Now, I would start to question as to whether that's a smart choice. We praised Sucker Punch recently of staying small and being like, hey, we know what we're good at. And Remedy, you know what you're good at, and you tried to branch out, and I can respect that, but maybe it's time to rein it in a little bit. And I don't know if this is a studio that produces multiple titles at the same time, or develops multiple titles at the same time and keeps the level of quality that they want. I don't know if y'all are. I don't know if you guys are those guys. So personally, I would rather y'all play it safe, and because your work, the work is already so. Groundbreaking is an extreme word to use, or extreme term to use.
Standout.
It's standout, because we're dealing with AAA video games, so it's not like they're going crazy, right? They're not doing the crazy weird shit, but they're doing weird shit. And so I really think,
crazy weird shit.
Yeah. They're not the most experimental, but they're doing more than the other guys. You know what I mean? I think that alone says so much about your work, and I think you should keep it to just that.
We'll see if they do. I think they will.
I think so, and I hope for the best, and I even expect something to happen, an announcement or a trailer of some kind to drop at the Game Awards this year. With how good Sam Lake's relationship is with Jeff Keighley, and I think we got Alan Wake 2 a DLC announcement at the Game Awards. If not that, then
I think we did.
I think FBC Firebreak was announced on a Keighley stage, whether it was SGF or Game Awards. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it was Opening Night Live, which is not a Keighley event, but he does host it. So,
Yeah. Close enough.
So I think we're due for some kind of Remedy something, at least in terms of a trailer or something. So I think that might be something to keep your eye out for at the Game Awards, and I would be very excited to just see whatever they got cooking up next. That just sounds like a good time. I love Remedy. I'm very excited for where Remedy's at. Even when I don't love their game, from a gameplay perspective, they always do something different, always something interesting. Alan Wake 1, we played it, we reviewed it last year. We were not fond of the game, but as a piece of art and what it was doing narratively and the meta commentary on writing and so forth like that was phenomenal, and still, I think, ahead of its time, or still super novel in 2024. Quantum Break, I thought, was a really, really interesting marriage of television and video games. And then, of course, Control, Alan Wake 2, they've been on a hot streak. And so, yeah, I hope they can just pick it right back up where they left. I don't think internally, from a business perspective, yes, FBC Firebreak is concerning. Internally, I would assume that, sure, disappointed that it didn't hit, but I don't think the team is taking it to heart that much. I don't think they ever.
I hope not.
I would assume, based off of the work that they've been putting out and what they're proud of, obviously outwardly so proud of with their other work, I would assume that if FBC Firebreak did hit, they would have been like, cool, here's Alan Wake 2, or here's Alan Wake 3, rather, and they would have moved right along to the next thing. So, Remedy, some of the best in the field right now, and still someone that you should keep your eyes open to. Hopefully they bounce back with this with minimal pain. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Two Penny Gamescast, episode 273. Remember to check out the Ghost of Yote review, which is live on the channel right now. Remember to drop your comments down below on any topics that we neglected to talk about this week, so we can talk about them next week, and we can talk about any hot takes or your own personal takes on any of these conversations about AI, layoffs, the future of the industry, Remedy, etc. Let us know. What do you expect to happen at the Game Awards? And of course, make sure you check out the Penny Drop, my video essay on the load-bearing fourth wall in video games. It's a very, very good piece of work, if I do say so myself. That was a light
You say a lot, Tavin.
That was a light Jay-Z reference. You know what I'm saying?
Do that to the people that'll know it, Tavin, and then applaud you for it.
I say a lot. You were going off 20 minutes about fucking AI, you know? I had a chance to break my microphone and fix it before you let me get a goddamn word in.
I didn't. I was thinking about the rap thing because most people wouldn't get the rap thing, like me.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, to always like, subscribe, and share for more content. We're doing quite well this year compared to our other years, and I would like to see success grow from there. So make sure that you share it with a friend. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe. And until next time, have a great time. Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye. Thanks for coming.